All right.
Do it.
Are we ready to
Yeah.
as long as we're not both crying? It's just like
As long as we're not sobbing our eyes out, I'd like to
we
be normal.
I don't I don't know how this will go, but we'll find out.
We'll find
Um we're
out. Okay.
good. You we can begin. Hi, hello.
Hi, hello. Today I've brought you a game that you originally brought me uh a little while back. So we're playing the beginner's guide.
We've both already played this game
Yes.
and love it a lot. Um, we're going into it with like a lot of knowledge already. So I guess spoiler warning if you don't want to know, but I'll let Davey talk for now.
Hi there. Thank you very much for playing The Beginner's Guide. My name is Davey Reedon. I wrote The Stanley Parable, and while that game tells a pretty absurd story, today I'm going to tell you about a series of events that happened between 2008 and 2011. We're going to look at the games made by a friend of mine named Coda. Now, these games mean a lot to me. I met Coda in early 2009 at a time when I was really struggling with some personal stuff, and his work pointed me in a very powerful direction. I found it to be a good reference point for the kinds of creative works that I wanted to make. So just to start you off, this is, I think, the first game he ever made. It's a level for Counter-Strike. You can walk around here, by the way. And mostly it's just Coda learning the basics of building a 3D environment. But what I like is that even though he starts from the simple aesthetic of a desert town, he then scatters these colorful abstract blobs and impossible floating crates around the level.
I don't know.
And of course, it
that's what
destroys
desert
the
towns
illusion
look
that
like.
this actually is a desert town, and instead this level becomes a kind of calling card from its creator. It's like a reminder that this video game was constructed by a real person. And it kind of makes you wonder, what was going through his head as he was building this?
I'm worried if
This
that
is what I
like
like about
not
all of
every
Coda's
game
games. I mean, not that
informs
they're
you
all
of that.
fascinating as games, but that they are all going to give us access to their creator. I want us to see past the games themselves. I want to get to know who this human being really is. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. So, it's 2008, Coda starts making these games, and he never releases any of them. He doesn't put them onto the internet, he just makes them and then immediately abandons them, and they sit on his computer forever. And I think he really understood this image of himself as a recluse. At one point, he jokingly renamed his computer's recycling bin to Important Games Folder. So, this was just how he worked. He tended to crank them out one after the other without even really pausing to try to understand what he had just made, until suddenly one day, he just stopped.
Lose
In
yourself
2011,
in the void.
that was it. He made his last game, and then he hasn't made another one since. And that's why I've taken this opportunity to gather all of his work together, is because I find his games powerful and interesting, and I'd like this collection to reach him, to maybe encourage him to start creating again.
This was Coda's
And
vision.
if the people like you who play this also happen to find his work interesting, then I'm sure it'll just send that much stronger of a message of encouragement to Coda.
Stay in the
So
small
thanks
dark
for joining me
places.
on this. If you have a particular interpretation that I haven't mentioned here, or if you just need to get in touch, you can email me at daveywreden@gmail.com. Okay, that's about it for introduction.
Back to the
Let's
dark
take a look
Davey.
at Coda's first proper game. As each game is loading, I'll show you the date that it was completed. This first one was made in November 2008.
We are gonna have to figure out how to like talk around Davey because he is
Yeah.
very talkative. The thing that I need to share about when I played this game is that at no point in me playing this game did I realize it was fiction. I completely, as soon as Davey was like, all right, you can email me here, I went, oh, okay, this isn't what I expected, and I was completely 100% on board for dissecting the games of Davey's friend.
This game is called Escape from Whisper, and it's one of the more generic games you'll see from Coda.
I had a similar experience, but I do think partly through, I kind
can
of
click to find
started
it.
having a feeling. I don't know if I ever, like, fully realized the feeling, but I definitely had a feeling that it wasn't exactly what was being advertised
It
to
kind
me,
of
I
looks
guess.
like this game was abandoned mid-development. For instance, you have this gun, which you'd think would indicate that there are supposed to be monsters or enemies
I'm glad
somewhere.
Davey
But
tells
then
you
clearly
this.
there are no enemies anywhere.
Like,
You can't even reload the
good,
gun when
thank
you run out of
goodness.
bullets. But ultimately, we don't really know. Maybe Coda thought that actually it was complete the way that it is. And I think that we should talk about his games for what they are, rather than for what they're not.
But there's like a lot of people that I've talked to who said there are like little things.
I love how you can see the bottom of the universe from this room.
To me, it's stuff like that that's really interesting to me because that's like a storytelling choice that convinces you, oh, okay, this was made by a person. Why would you just add that in just to talk about it? So it like immediately feels like, oh, okay, yeah, this is a real thing.
Apparently, has a labyrinth on it. Sure, I don't know.
Dang it.
There's really no reason for it that I've ever been able to discern, so in the interest of time, I'm just gonna skip you on that.
No!
It's emotional about that line.
Okay, this is the part that's interesting. The game has this narrative about the whisper machine and how it has to be turned off, and then you get to the engine room.
Hey, you there, in the engine room. You could save us all. That beam is powering the whisper machine. We could disrupt it by introducing a great enough heat signature. If your body could stop the beam. It's so much to ask, but for all of our lives, would you do it? Could you give yourself?
Where's my gun?
He ran out of bullets, so he threw it away.
Let me pause here for a second. What you just experienced, stepping into the beam and then dying, is probably what Coda had initially intended when he was developing this level. But when he first compiles and plays it, something goes wrong. There's a bug somewhere. And this is what happens instead.
I have to step into the beam again? Rude.
I really want to know if Davey actually knows that this was a
The
bug.
beam causes you to start floating.
Hmm.
And this is an important moment for him.
Yeah.
Because yes, this is technically a glitch, but Coda identifies something human about it. Like how small it makes you feel in the face of this
I'm
larger
so close
chaotic
with the
system.
maze.
Or this floating could be the afterlife,
think.
a peaceful place, juxtaposed against all of the hysteria that you've just had to traverse. I don't even know. I have no idea what he was thinking, but what's clear is that after making
Yeah, it
this,
was pretty
something
close.
lodges itself in his brain. He wants to do more of these really weird and experimental designs. So he
Maybe
stops
he
work
started
on this
with
and
this.
moves on to a stream of tiny little games that go in all sorts of directions. Let's go ahead and take a look at the first game he made after leaving this one behind.
That's a good point, because like the first thing you see is the maze and the actual answer to the maze. And if we assume that Davy is wrong and the maze is important or like significant, then yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. It's like, and then you float up and actually see the maze in full. I did have to. I didn't figure out.
So try walking back.
Yeah, I had to get that prompt. I didn't figure it out.
I did figure it out, but also I wasn't moving here to keep Davy from talking. Anyway.
Be quiet, Davey. We want to talk about Curtis games.
So also, I'm like, at Davy's little tidbit about the first game, the where he's like, this is when he starts making weird games. It's like the first thing you showed us was a Counter-Strike level with boxes floating in the air and weird blobs just dashed about. I think.
Yep. In this game, you can only walk backwards.
I think we were already at that point.
Coda was already being intentional.
So it's a short and relatively minimalist experiment combining motion and narrative. It is less advanced than the previous game, but actually it seems to be more focused, more complete. Coda's trying to give it a unique voice rather than simply basing it on a pre-existing trope.
Sidebar, I really like this game a lot. This
Me
has
too.
like a huge anti-chamber vibe of feeling like very threatening, even though like it's right on the edge of something that could be horror, even though it's completely safe, just because you can't see where you're going, and I really like it a lot.
It's a short little thought, it says what it
That-
wants to say, and then it ends. Didn't need anything more than that. Which to me is why it works, because it gets out quick. Okay, next one.
Because there wasn't any actual puzzles in it.
Have I like I know this is me being a little bit Davey here, but like have you
And that's
heard
it.
Oh, okay.
Okay, the meaning of this game won't
Sorry.
be clear just yet. Please be patient with me for a few more games, and I promise you'll see what makes it interesting.
I do not know what to do with viewer entering and
Oftentimes,
viewer now
Coda
exiting.
would put bizarre titles like this one at the start of his games.
I like
I wish
this
I'd
one.
known him at the time that he was making these early games. He would really only talk to me about his work as he was making it. Once he stopped work on a game, like, that was it. It was dead to him.
Big
And I don't
mood.
agree with that at all, but what are you gonna do?
Yeah, so like Coda did not, if that's true, then Coda would not have at any point been like, hey, here's this Whisper Machine game that I made. Also,
I know it's tempting, but there's
This
actually
was a
nothing over
glitch.
here. Sorry.
So Davey's lying to you. There's a recording you can catch if you stand in a very specific place. There's like voices that you can hear, which spooks me a little bit. I don't remember if I found them or if I just looked it up. Well, I listened to Davey when I went through. I followed all of his instructions, but later on I found out that if you do explore, well, there sure is that happening. Which is weird because Davey being Davey, you know he searched this place.
Mm-hmm.
So like, did he just decide that, okay, you can hear voices in these spots, but it's not important. This isn't the point that I'm trying to convey. But so here's a question. If Coda didn't show these games to anyone, who recorded the voice acting for the Whisper Machine?
Yeah.
So
So
either
someone had to.
Coda does show them to people because he showed them to Davey, or there's some real interesting gender questions you could get into with Coda, especially when you consider the protagonist of all of Coda's games seems to be female.
Yeah. That is a point I never thought about.
Once you've been slowed to an absolute crawl, the door at the top of the stairs opens. So why, if Coda's not showing these games to anyone, why bother opening the door at all? Well, to show you, I'm modifying the game here so that when you press enter, it'll bring you back up to full speed so you can enter the door for yourself.
So this is one of the points where in my original playthrough, I got real spiteful of Davey just like right away. I was like, no, I'm not gonna press it. Because we're Let's Playing, I will press it, but
I mean, you can. If you want to wait in the jail for an hour, this is going to be a real long Let's Play. But I love, like, all of these.
I know there's one I really like and I'm looking for it now.
I like a key in one game unlocks a door in a
and
completely
nice.
separate game.
And
Yes.
filled with little ideas for games.
You are a gate. Press U to surrender.
Coda would often tell me that he didn't mind if people thought of him as cold or distant. He said that he knew that he was actually a vibrant and
The
compassionate
captain
person,
is always
but
wrong.
that it takes time to really see that. it can be a very slow climb to get there.
The shop selling your organs is good too.
Yes. Nah.
Davey.
I always want to be in there longer.
Yeah. It was fascinating to me to realize, looking back, how much the theme of Davey won't let you wait because he really just wants to get to his point, like, is in every single game. Not just the points where he speeds past, or he's like, oh, do this to skip whatever, like, obstacle Coda put here, but also, like, just every game that he doesn't let you linger in because he doesn't think there's a point to it.
Well, this is new for Coda. It's an actual puzzle. Go ahead and see if you can solve it.
No, we had a puzzle. It was the labyrinth.
Yeah!
I forgot. Oh, click. I forgot how to interact with things.
I was actually genuinely real proud of myself for solving this. Because I'm bad at games.
I'm bad at clicking.
Oh, my computer's bad at being bright enough to see what's going on in this section.
Don't forget that solution, because we're going to see this puzzle again soon. We're going to see it a lot.
The 3 dots is a cool thing too, because like at the end we know Davey calls attention to them, but he never does.
Yeah.
He noticed them. He never points them out to you.
So that seems to be it, right? You walk down a corridor, you solve a puzzle, you get to the end. Simple enough. Alright, now I'm going to modify the game again, so that when you press enter, it'll remove all of the walls from this room.
I forgot what key was enter. Okay, there we go.
Man.
How about that? There was more to it than we had any way of knowing. I actually find it funny that this game comes after the Stairs game, since they essentially convey the opposite idea. So, in the Stairs game, a dull exterior concealed a rich interior. And then, in this level, a dull interior hides this fantastic outer world. Either way, I think that the point is the same, is that most of the time you don't get to know what you're missing, or even that you're missing anything. That's not your role as a player. So if your role here is not to understand, then what is it?
To read the wiki.
That's it. So like at this point, Coda hadn't met Davey, but I feel like that game is one that Davey could potentially take to heart. Like there's other stuff. You don't get to see it, you don't get to go there, but you have to just know that there's other things there. You are now exiting.
So also, that last game we played, maybe it was just another unfinished game, and there's just no walkway between that room and the next one. But there was going to be once it was finished.
So this,
and then Coda lost
with the
interest.
entering game from earlier, tells us that Coda believes his games are connected somehow. It could even be that the Stairs game and the puzzle game are literally connected in between this and the entering game. There's a bigger picture that all of his games are meant to play a role in, some larger meaning that we won't be able to grasp until we've seen all of them. And once we have, we can step back and start to understand what exactly that bigger picture is.
See, I really like how he completely like misses his own point, kind of. It's like, oh, there's more here than you had any way of knowing is here. Alright, once we see all of Coda's games, we'll understand. Which, like, I will fully admit, I think the interesting thing about Beginner's Guide is that it is its own, like, it refutes itself in a way where there's a lot you can take away from it, but it does require analyzing it, and it resists analysis. But oh well. I enjoy like looking at, what could this be? Why is this here? So I'm gonna still do it anyway. Sorry, Coda.
The one thing I have with the entering and exiting, it kind of goes back to the the room full of ideas, where it's like I feel like there is an element of games are connected, but it's like that one that you pointed out where it's like a button in one room or one game opens another one. I feel like that's almost a test of that idea.
Yeah. What if I had one game that was this and another game that was this, and then you went, hang on a
Let's talk
second,
about
are
video
these
game
connected?
development for a second. Every video game runs on what's called an engine, which determines what the game can and cannot do. So in other words, the engine is a set of tools for game development.
So I'll be Davey again for
To
a
make
second
all of
here.
these games,
after
Coda
he's done
is using
talking.
an engine called Source. Like all engines, Source has certain things that it does well, and it has certain things that it does poorly. One of the things that it does very well is boxy linear corridors. That's why so many of Coda's games are set in these large, flat, empty rooms, is just because he's working with what the engine does well.
Is that
The tools available to the creator shape what kinds of creative work they're going to end up making. You might consider paying attention to the architecture in Coda's games to notice how they seem to stem from
Shazz,
an
have you
engine that's
paid
very
attention
good
to
at
the
producing
architecture?
linear, boxy corridors.
I love architecture. But no, I from a narrative perspective, something that is really interesting to me is like going back and looking at everything that Davey says and how it does set up like this narrative of how Davey approaches Coda's games. I do not understand this narrative. This is my labyrinth for Davey. Is like, why is this narrative here? Why is this like bit about here's how this engine works here? I don't know. Maybe he just likes talking about Source Engine. But
I'm so excited about this modeled
oh
bathroom.
my goodness. I don't think I went in here. There's a toilet and everything.
Yeah, I think I
Nice.
went there like very quickly. When I was like, does the store open? Oh my gosh, it does.
Thank goodness. I did
I
try to
think
get to that door. I did spend time trying to get over there. Nope. Sorry. This is so heckin' cool. Nope.
Into jail.
Funny enough, in Coda's original design, the door stayed shut for a full hour before letting you go. If you don't mind, I think we're gonna skip that.
No.
We didn't mention it before, but this Let's Play is actually an extra hour long. Okay.
This is something that people used to argue about a lot. You know, whether a game ought to actually be playable, whether it means anything if no one can get through it. And I would always defend that, you know, all this work goes into the game,
You can
why
get
not
through
make
it.
it playable and accessible? And so we just got into heated arguments over it, and there was one time that after one of these conversations, he went home, and a day or two later, he sent me a zip file entitled Playable Games that was full of hundreds of individual games, each of which was just an empty box that you walked around in and nothing else. Believe me, I played every single one of those just to find out if there was like a gag hidden somewhere. There wasn't.
I really love that bit from the perspective of like when we started this was not, hey, I'm Davey or some other name that, you know, does games. It's very specifically, hey, I'm Davey who made the Stanley Parable, a game that has some bits where it requires 4 hours of interaction just to get some hidden like element. So I love the like noticing from that perspective that, you know, if all of this was real, he picked up on some of it.
Yeah,
He was like, okay, no, I'm into this now.
Well, yeah, and like absolutely, if you go into this game, which some people go into this like, this is an interesting fiction, and some people go into this like, okay, Davey, tell me about your friend, which was me. Like, if you go into it that way, is absolutely like, oh, I can see how you were inspired by Coda. So much of like Coda's work shows up in yours. That like he must have taken. Oh, yes. He must have taken some of it to heart.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine getting into a heated argument about whether or not people should be able, like I can, actually, now
It's
that
the
I've
puzzle
said that.
With the exact same solution as the last time.
Which is, I don't know, the idea of these two game developers like really getting into it over whether or not you should be able to complete a game is just an amazing thought.
There's still no clear indication of what makes this puzzle so special that Coda is going to return to it over and over.
He already
But
had
I
made
promise
it.
I'll share with you my interpretation
Yeah.
very shortly.
Ooh,
He
can
doesn't
you
have
see
to
the
make
one?
it again.
Yeah, like, okay, and then there'll be a puzzle here. Here's one that I've already made that I kind of like. And there's so much that I feel like, I don't know. I feel like Davey's not wrong that a lot of things do have interpretations, just it needs to be more open than Davey is being, is kind of how I feel about it. Like, you need to be open to the idea that maybe you don't know.
Here, Coda begins using a kind of dialogue system that he fashioned out of the engine's chat capabilities.
Sorry.
Use the 1, 2, 3 buttons on your keyboard to respond.
You there, did you come from up above? What was up there?
Well, 2 is lying.
That is true. We didn't spend hours in it. We could have.
So I'm gonna do 3 because I really like the floating colored blocks.
I really enjoy that all of these ones are true.
Yeah, except for 2.
Well, 2 could
But
be true.
It could have been.
2 is true in the narrative. Davey just hacked.
Two is lying again.
Yeah. Which I don't think I've ever picked that one. I've seen 1 and 3.
Let's go 2 then.
Yeah.
Let's be liars.
Amazing. Oh, these are all interesting.
Oh, I don't know what I want to pick now.
I'm sorry. The thing I think is interesting is if you're honest with them, then the choice after that are all lies. It's either I don't remember how I solved it, or stuff like that. Like you can't just tell them.
I'm gonna say 1. There are other ways in and out.
Okay.
Because Davey broke the game.
Davey
so,
might hack you in.
Yeah. I backed into the wrong door. Oh wait, no. I went the wrong way. I confused myself.
Oh no.
It's fine. Ah. Let's be liars. No,
Excellent.
I've been here the entire time.
Yeah, I've been right here. All good questions.
Which one do you want to go with?
I kind of want to ask who are you just because I never have.
Who are you?
We won't answer your question.
I think that was actually the one that I did the first time.
Oh, really?
Was the who are you?
I mean, the dialogue they give you is pretty close to the same. It's really interesting. It kind of doesn't affect what they tell you, but it does affect
And so we
what
make
you
one
can
last
say.
descent down to the final floor of the level.
It's here.
Ah.
It's here. This game has been
It's a
infected.
Okay, I can't tell you quite why, but for some reason Coda fixates on this lamppost. It's going to appear at the end of every single one of his games from here on out. I'll tell you what I think. I think that up to this point, you know, he's been making
Uncertain
really
stammer.
strange and abstract games with no clear purpose, and maybe you can only float around in that headspace for so long. Because now he wants something to hold on to. He wants a reference point. He wants the work to be leading to
I
something.
really want to
He
know.
wants a destination, which is what this lamppost is. It's a destination. We're going to see it in the work as well. His games are just going to become a lot more cohesive, a lot more fully developed, with more of a clear idea behind them. And as we go, that idea will get clearer and clearer and clearer.
So, I do wonder if, like, this is the one game that originally had a lamppost there, and Davey fixates
Davey
on the
fixates.
lamppost as an ending after having that argument. With
I actually.
Coda.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because there's a couple ways you can interpret that. I actually took it as metaphorical, where the lampposts have been there, but the Davy attached so much meaning to them that I do think there's one game he added a lamppost to, but I think most of them were created by Coda, but it's Davy going, this is the meaning that it's all building towards. And so the, don't add lampposts to my games was kind of a stop trying to impose your own structure on them, more so than quit fiddling with my games and sticking lampposts in there. This game is so good.
I love this game.
I love
So first
this so
off,
much.
I'm sure you can deduce this, but this game is not connected to the internet. All of the notes that you're going to see have been written by Coda. This was actually the first game of his that I ever played. This was shortly after I met him at a weekend game jam in Sacramento, where I grew up. I saw him working on this very level, and it was just so different from anything that anyone else was doing. So right away I was like, I have to be friends with this person.
Big mood, Davy!
In
Yeah,
retrospect,
big
I think I was
mood.
probably a bit too pushy, trying to get his attention.
Also big mood.
I was over enthusiastic. But he was very gracious about it and very patient with me. I cooled off eventually. Oh, feel free to skip over any of these
No.
notes if they're not doing anything for you. Nothing extra is going to happen if you read all of them.
No,
Either way, to me they convey a sense of loneliness. I see this person who's filled with thoughts and feelings and beliefs and has no way to express them except as scattered and unheard voices in a game that wasn't meant to be played.
Deep.
I love all of
But
the
it's
notes
ironic,
are
isn't
so
it,
good.
that in playing this game and seeing how alone Coda often felt, that we get to know him better and actually kind of connect with him. And I
Big
have to be
mood.
honest with you, this idea is really seductive to me. That I could just play someone's game and see the voices in their head and get to know them better and have to do less of the messy in-person socializing. I could just get to know you through your work. I think this is why I always liked Coda's games so much, is because it felt like they let me have that connection. I felt as though he was inviting me personally into his world. And then I feel less lonely too.
Unrealistic, no one has posted the entire B-movie script as a comment. Though I feel like the Penguin one is close to accurate.
Wait, when did B-movie come out though?
Oh shoot, I don't know.
Because I think B-movie came out after the dates of
After
this game. I'm not sure.
Yeah, okay, alright. Well, that's an interesting research project. There's some of these notes that just stick with me forever. Don't be afraid, do care is like, I want that on a pin, I want it on a shirt with this little weird speech bubble. I don't know what it is about like that one and Take My Hand and We'll Jump Together. Both of those notes are ones that I just like remember forever. And and then there's the other ones that are like ass. Like, oh, okay. Yeah, humans wrote these, sure. This is incredibly realistic. I also really like the one, wow, dude, you have the power. I love the one that's like, a game where you can leave notes and everyone becomes a poet or something like that.
Did I? I think I got all of them. I'm very upset that I cannot
get
go.
over there and clear
Yeah.
those ones.
Coda, please. Please, my completionist heart.
It makes door, cannot open door, thank.
Though also, Davey, how do you not know that if reading all of them makes the thing happen because we can't read those?
I mean,
Anyway.
he went and triggered all of them. He went into the code.
Yeah.
You know he did. And he decided it wasn't important for you to read those ones, which, for once, he was probably correct because clearly Coda did not put those in your reach. Ah, yeah, there it is. there's the note of your.
Not the regular bathroom, just the freaking bathroom.
Just the freaking one.
I do really like this, just...
Visually.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, it's really cool. There's so many little stories that you can get out of just leaving notes in places. It's such a good idea.
Door's stuck. Door's stuck.
Oh my
Door's
goodness.
stuck.
Oh man. You okay, Boo?
There's something interesting about this note and this entire game. Anyways.
That's one of the ones that shows up twice, right?
Yeah, I think so. Which is also very interesting because some of the other notes very much feel like they were written because someone said them and not wrote them. Like there's one that's like, "Hey, can anyone hear me?"
There it is. I just really like that a lot. It's like acknowledgement of, boy, there's a lot of people trying to be poetic in here.
This would be a very good note to have, like, right next to it, the ass one.
Oh, that's good. That is 100% a note somebody would actually leave. I failed to write anything here. I love this game so much. Just gets emotional about this dumb notes game.
Unfortunate.
Yes. Tag yourself meme, but it's just this game.
Yes.
Oh, I forgot about the whispers in this audio. It's my least. I really want to believe that's a response to the other note.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, that's another one of the repeated ones.
Yep.
Is this where I get out my big tarot card list? I haven't. I didn't actually pull out my tarot card list. So, if you do line up the major arcana with every one of Coda's games, including the Counter-Strike level, which matches with the Fool, and including both you are entering and you are exiting, it does line up. The tower is in the correct number, and the star is the final epilogue level. Again, I have a lot of Davy in me, but also it sure does line up with the major arcana.
I mean, I do feel like a lot of this is like there is meaning in things, like
yeah,
between that and the later game with the password, you know that Coda is stringing games together somehow.
yeah, and like it
and-
could just be like if Coda is a person who likes tarot. Am I saying this right? Tarot? I don't actually know how you pronounce it. But if Coda is someone who is interested and invested in that as like a symbolic thing, then it makes sense that he would multiple times put tarot card references in his games. Oh, Cabin Shapes Our Nation repeats. Must be significant. There's also the notes are out of order in here in the way that they are in the code. There is a message you can find in the code. It's about how this game is pretentious and you all suck. Many reviews of the beginner's guide.
There's the second Devil Power Star.
Yes, this one. This and like 3 other notes in the code go in order. He was himself the most most horrible creature he could imagine. His terrible secret, he kept it well. And then the last one is something like cut into pieces and hidden between the worlds. So that's interesting.
I want to return to this note for a moment. I was wondering if when you got to this note, you did what I did, where I went, oh shit, I didn't really look at it when I was far away, and I went all the way back up there to look at it while far away.
I think
to see if I can like see a hidden picture.
There's not a hidden picture.
Which I do wonder if that's like the general thing that people do when they get that note. Did I miss one?
You did. There's one note unread.
Hey.
It kind of.
Hey.
This is a good screenshot right here with this one unread note amongst all the red notes. Good note, good note. There is one note further away that's like, says something to the effect of, I think it's about how far away it looks different than close up or whatever. So I think that's when I looked at the painting. I don't think I ran back. Tag yourself, I'm that note. I'm here now. I don't know what that means, but I'm here. Congratulations.
More
At the
room.
end of this level, we're going to see the puzzle
There
again.
it is.
And here, I'll tell you what I think the puzzle means. Each of these
Keep
games
these
represents an
whispers
idea that was on Coda's mind at the time that he was making it. And the puzzle is a way of closing the door on a previous chapter of his life before moving on to the next one. In each of his games, after exploring a theme that, he might find difficult, Coda can then place this puzzle that he knows has a reliable solution, he understands exactly how it works, and so it gives him a simple mechanism for moving on.
Double help.
Important, significant message.
And because there's this dark area between the doors, a space between spaces, before you move on, you get to pause. Just for a moment, a few seconds to reflect on and let go of the events that led you here. To step back and connect the pieces together. To grasp at that elusive bigger picture.
There we go.
You guys being in here is weird. The implication here is that this person is the only one who made it through the door puzzle. I hadn't thought about that before.
Okay. Okay.
Alright.
Okay, this one is tough.
So
It's gonna kind of just spin its own wheels for a few minutes. Hang with it.
I do want to bring up when I was first playing this game after you told me about it, I was playing it because I was in a I don't remember if it was specifically a bad headspace. But I was in a headspace where I couldn't do anything. And for those who don't know me as a person beforehand, I am a little bit of a workaholic.
A
just
boo,
a bit.
a boo that's not doing anything is not a happy boo.
Yes. So I couldn't work on anything, and I was just like in a bad headspace to do anything but play a game. So I started playing this game, and I think it was late at night, or you were busy doing something. So a lot of my spam at first was, you weren't around. It was just me yelling at you. And I think this is one of the games that I ended up playing 4 times accidentally over and over again, because I played it through and then I had to go yell at you, and then when I clicked back in on the menu, if you click in a space that, like, if you're highlighting a thing, you will click it. So I would click like here on the window, but it would be on restart level, and I would restart the level. And I did that like 3 times because I kept pausing to yell at you about this level.
This is an amazing level for that to happen.
Yes, it is.
Oh man. I also played the beginner's guide when I was in a really bad headspace, because I was like, gosh.
See, like, this is it. The
Oh,
whole
look
game.
up, look up.
And there's nothing that's particularly interesting.
There it is.
You
I
just
never
walk to the
looked
end
up.
of the hall. Except for
You're
some
in the-
reason,
you're in the
Coda
well.
gets really fixated on this prison that has all of this modern furniture.
Oh,
And I don't know why, but he decides he needs to revisit this prison. He's gonna start over, use the same assets, turn it into something else. Okay, cool. Here's version 2.
I never looked up. Oh, I'm so excited.
I'm so glad. Oh.
I love this second part of, like, I love everything about this level.
This level is incredible. What should go in the center of the room, Boo?
Let's put a giant hole in the ground.
That is also what I did because I was like trying to think of how to escape.
That is. Oh, I was doing it because I was like, what's the most opposite of a table? A hole. It goes down instead of up.
Oh my goodness.
I would like 10 stoves lined up against the wall.
Why can't we get that? Like 10 stoves.
That's 6 stoves at best. We are supervillains. Let's grab some Tesla coils.
Perfect. That's what Tesla coils look like, right?
We already have a table.
This is such good answers.
We have a table. We don't need another one. A desk would be nice, though.
I just, in general, really.
Anyway, this is the part that I had to yell about. Cause
there's a bit more
Davey
to this one,
doesn't
but
care.
still, it's not really communicating anything.
I love
it's
it.
kind of
No,
just
shut
weird
up,
for
Davey.
weirdness' sake.
it's so good.
So, okay, he throws it out and starts over. This time he comes at the prison idea from a different direction.
Davey has more prisons to show you. You're gonna have to deal with it. I did. I was very careful.
I had actually been like, wait, shit, do I need to write these down? Also 3 dots.
I was committing them to memory. I wasn't that cool, but I was like, alright, table, picture frame, alright, table, picture frame, lamp. Like, I was really trying to remember them.
I don't remember if I fully, like...
You gotta click it again. I just really enjoy the phrase "to return to your prison."
And of course, now the table is gone and you can't begin the chain of events to escape.
Well, there isn't a picture frame either.
Here's a version where there are no bars, but you can't actually get to the well. And then a version where the inside of the prison is
Davey.
the outside and the outside is the inside.
Davey!
Let me just blink you real quick through a few more of these. I mean, he really unloaded on this prison idea. There's nearly a dozen. Personally, I think it's awful to watch this. To see a person basically unraveling through their work. And for what? Like, at what point do you just go, maybe there are game ideas other than this prison that I could be working
No, I like the prison.
Coda doesn't have that voice telling you to stop.
No, he
Particular
does.
mechanism of defense against yourself. Without it, you just spiral. And so he keeps going and going and going and going and going, and then he hits on something. And he likes it. And that's it. He's done. He stops making prisons.
Yeah, right there. There's the
This
voice
is the
to
very
stop.
last version
Yeah.
of the prison game that he created. And the reason I think it works is that the prison is not actually in it.
But you need all of those other prisons for this game to work. Because they're not for you, they're for him. Man, what would it have been like to be Coda sending, because at this point he knew Davy, so he was sending these
Mhm.
to Davy, or Davy was asking about them and playing them, and apparently deciding that his friend was like going nuts as he's like, here's some ideas I've been working with. Anyway.
Also, how the frick do you know this is related to the Princic games?
I mean, from the conversation, I think, more so.
Maybe.
Like, I think it isn't apparent outside of that.
It's a conversation. And so this is what Coda wants, is to be able to talk to someone, to share what's on his mind, and to get some good advice from someone who knows. But the irony is that even in this scenario, you're still talking to yourself. You know, all of these games so far are Coda talking to himself.
I do like, again, all of these answers are technically correct.
Yeah. It's just which one is the one that you want to say.
I don't know which one to pick. You pick one.
One. Both of those are amazing answers.
I wish there's start with the table.
Oh boy. So this was the first game that I cried on, actually, when I played this for the first time. I played the beginner's guide. I was also in a bad headspace. I had just lost most of my friends group and was having trouble creating anything. So I was in the perfect position to play this. And for this conversation, I absolutely was like trying to like encourage my past self. I immediately like was like bought into it.
I really like how every time you select an answer, it makes the phone beep noise. Like,
Yeah.
you're not saying these, you're just selecting from a automatic list of choices.
Oh shoot. Yeah. Huh.
I can see why he considers this a fitting conclusion to the prison games. After all of the obsession and frustration, just to be told by someone you can trust that things are going to be okay. Wouldn't that be nice? So what would it look like if Coda wanted to make a game about talking to someone other than himself?
Oh, this game.
I mean,
To me, this environment is meant to represent Coda's puzzle, with the two doors on either side and a dark transitional space between.
we just don't go in. I'm honestly curious. I never did this.
Just so you're aware, nothing will happen up here until you've been inside the house.
Davey's not
Well,
gonna
I
let
can
you.
try anyways.
No.
Okay,
Davey
fine.
said no. Let me explore the dark spaces, Davey.
Let me stay in the dark spaces. Eh.
Right miserable, that would have been.
You'll notice that the quality of the art is a step up from previous games, including this new and improved chat system, which he started using from this point on.
Oh boy, this
From
music
here on
does
out, he
things
begins
to my
putting
heart.
much more effort into the visual polish of his work.
On
And
one
this
hand,
particular
big
game took
same.
2 months to create.
On the
as a
other
result.
hand, when it comes in so loudly, I'm just like, I love Deadly Prone.
Oh my goodness. He actually likes if you make the joke. We're so good at cleaning.
Also, let's just look at this lovely bathroom again.
We'll get to look at it a few times, I think. Also, this sheet is just beautiful.
Yes.
This whole house is lovely. Tidy couch soothes my soul too, cleaning person. So I'll confess, this is the game that I replayed several times, trying to find out if there was a way that I could make him feel less awkward in this conversation.
This is a very nice bathroom.
It is, it's lovely.
After the intense set of prison games, this house cleaning level almost feels like cleansing. It's the moment after a particularly difficult or traumatic experience where you just need to let it sit and digest inside of you, and eventually cohere into something meaningful. I know that Coda really liked this game. Of all of his work, actually, this was the only one that he called me up to ask me to come over and look at it. This was during a period of a few months where he was like grossly happy all the time, just walked around with a constant smile on his face.
I think it was you who made the comment that, like, you could say all three of these and it would be a complete thought.
Oh yeah, I remember that now. I think I was looking at a few of the things where I was like, if you just said all three as a single sentence, then it is a single reply.
Yeah. Which, I don't know, the reply system in this game is really interesting to me because so often it doesn't actually affect anything.
I'm glad he made this.
It's just
I'm glad he
kind of
found
a
some
way
peace.
for you to express yourself. And so the choices do matter, but not to the game.
But, of course, it can't last. The music stops, your companion is gone, it's time to leave. The door at the top of the hill is now open as well.
Also, all the windows
Again,
are gone.
you can't stay in the dark space for too long. You just can't. You have to keep moving. It's how you stay alive.
Everything breaks when it ends. I like that this one is, you know, which, I mean, I don't know why I'm being coy about it. This is the one that Davey altered the most. And everything breaks and the windows go away. It's like the most polished one, but suddenly it's not. When you go through the door, you can see trees clipping through the ground. You're clearly not supposed to be there, which I just really love a lot. So this is the only one that I think he physically added a lamppost to. I don't think this was here.
Which is the whole point of the puzzle doors, right? That sooner or later you have to pick up and move. I really thought that was the point of it.
I also really like how Davey
This one gets a bit goofy.
brings up the
Yeah, this one doesn't really have any pause points.
You came here to become perfect. This world is imperfect.
I'm sorry. I really, really like this bit. Who is so well developed as a person that they make you feel disgusted with yourself is such a like precision comment. Boy.
About halfway through the game, the perspective shifts.
It's fine.
And you play as the teacher.
Did you
Suddenly,
do any
you
of the
discover
gray
that your
options?
teacher is just as bigoted and afraid as you are.
I think I've
Oh, and
played
also
this
you can move around
multiple
the castle
times,
now.
so that
Just
I
to
could.
find out.
Yeah. Do we want to go with gray options or
I mean,
let's do gray options?
Okay. I mean, do what? Follow your dreams. Kids should not follow their dreams. You can. I really like number one. Yes.
I fell pretty hard for this one. I feel like it's one of the most relatable experiences that you can have. To assume that some other person is perfect and totally fulfilled in every way, and completely miss all of the little flaws that make them painfully human. I think about this game a lot these days.
I wonder why, Davey.
So, are you gonna talk?
I don't think he talks until you go out on stage.
This one
actually.
took a
Oh,
lot
never
longer
mind.
than all the
He
others
sure
for
does.
Coda to make. It was 4 months between this and the last one. That's twice as long as it took him to make any other game before this, and it's not like it's particularly complex, so I remember I found that a little strange at the time.
It's almost like he's pulling these from a very personal place.
Something I want to comment before we went through the very intensive game is also Davey talks about Coda having a smile on his face and being super happy after making this cleaning game. Like nothing else is happening in Coda's life other than making games. Like clearly it has to be this game that he made that is making him so happy.
Yeah.
Or this piece of like finishing the prison games, and not that like maybe Coda got a boyfriend or something.
Yeah.
That, you know, oh
Yeah.
man, this is really nice, or maybe they completed this like class or something that they
Yeah.
had been taking, and now they feel like they can go further with.
And frankly, like, the game could tie to that. Like, the game could be an expression of, like, Coda feeling like, I'm really, like, taking care of things, and I've made a game from my soul of how fulfilled I feel, and, like, passing that, because, like, everybody I've watched play this likes the cleaning game. The cleaning game is so satisfying. It feels good. It's, like, really does, like, whoever made the game, it comes from a very honest place. They did a good job. So like, yeah.
But like I feel like a lot of this narrative really sticks to the point that like clearly Coda is only here to make games. I don't know what else Coda would be here for.
Yeah.
Which kind of I feel like speaks into the vision that Davey has of Coda versus who Coda really is.
Yeah. He never talks about like what else.
Games.
He never talks about what else Coda is doing other than I've had so many dreams like this. Oh boy, Discord does not like loading this scene.
Oh no.
Like, it's okay, it's just choppy. So, did you walk over to her, or did you awkwardly try to stand against the wall and yell across the room?
I think I walked over the
Okay,
first
I've
time.
seen a lot of people try to awkwardly yell across the room, which I love that a lot. All good options.
I'm gonna go with my Mass Effect heart. And
I should go.
I should go.
I've never seen that one. Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness!
Okay.
I really love 3 so much.
Yes, it's time.
Boo. This is for Boo. This is transformed from a nightmare into a dream. Now, now we're all having a delightful time.
I think
despite the scary music. Oh my goodness.
This was another. I think this was after the Porn Stars Die 2. I think this was the next game that I paused to
Boo,
talk to you.
You have got to stop bouncing around. Discord is so unhappy with you.
Get it
Okay.
together, Ryder!
Uh,
Oh my goodness. Two and three are both such intense things to say to a
mhm.
human. Yeah, I would be freaked out. You're correct.
I like how successful is on the back.
Ooh.
Top is green. Interesting.
Okay. When you please like back away. Once you like know what direction you're going in. This is what it was like.
The game ends with this eerie premonition of what's going to happen next in Coda's life. The solution to social anxiety, to fears of having to perform and having to chase success, the answer for Coda is to withdraw, to hide himself away. Which is what leads to scenarios like the stairs that slowed you down several games ago, where it just becomes harder and harder to access Coda's inner landscape because he keeps retreating. He just keeps backing away from possible connections to anyone other than himself. And to be honest, I didn't consider it very healthy when I first played this game. You know, it looked to me like he was trying to justify the idea of just disconnecting yourself from the world. And that wasn't what I wanted for him or for his games. Because I feel like a lot of his games are inviting me to connect with this person, to bring him closer. But what can you do? After this, Coda went off and took another 5 months to make a new game.
I feel like that's an interesting perspective, especially with like how a lot of people nowadays put their forms of experiencing situations such as like social anxiety on the internet to connect with others who are also experiencing it in that way.
Yeah.
So
Well, and like, I don't know, when I played the game, Davey's like, this is an eerie premonition of what Coda thinks that he's supposed to do, and I'm like, no, this feels like a really accurate representation of what it feels like when you're trying to talk to somebody and it's not working. Like when he says this is what it was like when I first played it, I backed away and got that experience of door after door after door closing in front of you. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. That is what it's like. Yeah, this is me wanting to talk to someone and finding myself completely unable to do so. You're correct. This is a fantastic representation of this experience.
anyways, this one I just like to bring up that I did keep my eyes closed.
I don't think I did. I think I was like confused for a minute and was like, wait a second, really? And opened my eyes, and then I like saw that I shouldn't have my eyes closed, so I left them open.
I think you can get to the end in the first one. Do we want to try to like speed run a Davy text? I'm curious.
Oh, do you want to
or do
like
we-
not crash and see what
Yeah.
happens? Okay, let's see if we can do it. Even though this is my favorite game.
It's one of my favorites. Yeah, because you can just. I thought for some reason this would be closed off.
Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Man.
Okay, that's. Well, now we have a moment.
Oh, Davey's not.
Like I said, I was getting concerned.
Oh, there he is.
First off, he's never been this explicit in his work about exactly what he's thinking.
I thought
So
he would say
where's that
something about
from?
the fact that
But
like.
then even
skipped
weirder,
it.
his work has potentially
skipped
stopped
it,
being an
yeah.
outlet for him. Not like he's having trouble iterating on ideas, but he literally just can't think of new ideas anymore. And in person, he was being a lot more distant than usual. Like, You know how sometimes a person will just deflect anything that you say in order to keep themselves disconnected all the time? It was that kind of thing.
Like, maybe he wants
Here was
you
the point in my
personally to
relationship
go
with Coda
away.
where I really started to wonder if he needed my help in some way.
Anyway, in the very odd case that you have decided to watch our Let's Play where we've been talking about spoilers the entire time and not the original version first, if you don't figure your way up here quick enough, this crashes and the game restarts. Makes very loud, bothersome crashing noise that is very distressful. But yeah, you can run up here, I guess, right away. I was really hoping you'd say something about that.
That's okay. I don't know. This is like this is the moment that hits me in the guts every time I play this game. I think there's something incredible about the experience of saying this. Like just saying it. I'm out of ideas and I can't do this anymore is so hard to say.
Can you guess which one I originally said here?
Oh man. I think I did too, actually. I bet you said 3.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh.
I do believe that's one of
His
the
games
ones
are going
where
to get more desperate from here on out. After this game, it's almost 6 months before he finishes something new.
Oh, this game.
My question was halfway answered. Blink, blink, blink. I feel like there's a bendy joke I could be making here
Oh my
right now, but I don't know it.
No.
'Cause I've never played that game.
Oh my goodness. The first time I played this, the machine metaphor was like really jarring for me, but like this time going through it, I'm like, yeah, that feels about right actually.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
The machine metaphor was really jarring for me because also I played it right at the kind of end of my cycle of working myself to death and the start of me trying to have friends again. So, and that was partially because I noticed I was working myself to death. I didn't mean to click that, but it's fine. I'll answer.
It took me a long time to note it, to like put together
If the
that
last
like
game
every time
featured Coda talking explicitly about his creative frustrations, this one turns it up to 11.
every
Now,
time
put
you
yourself
speak,
in my
oh,
shoes
pick number
playing
3.
Here's a friend whose work is exhibiting signs of struggle, frustration, anxiety, depression, even. And yet, still, he keeps making games. He keeps throwing himself into the grinder even when he clearly doesn't have the energy for it anymore. Why? What is it for?
I really love that while I did click number 3, there's no way for you to have known
From
that.
my perspective
Yeah.
at the time, and just what I knew of him, this was a result of how isolated he was. He was in his own little bubble, just sitting at his computer all day, not really showing these games to anyone, not releasing them onto the internet. And so He didn't have anyone outside of himself to connect with. He had no outlet to ground himself on.
Maybe he had other friends.
Yeah. Really easy to tell the voice to do the wrong thing. But yeah, it took me a long time to put together that, like, every time you speak, you're like, that breathing noise is you.
You can't talk yourself out of loneliness. It doesn't work that way. You can't be the one writing both the questions and the answers. Then there's no movement. Then there's no circulation. If all of your anxieties are being channeled into your work, then if the work ever fails, you have no backup and you're just going to crash.
I need to stop on this one. I think it's like those three options of why did the wall crumble, but it wasn't true. Why did I feel so awful when I said it? It's really, I've never seen anyone not answer, but it wasn't true, because that's the one that you have to say. Like, all three options need to be there because all of those are true. Of course it felt awful. Of course you want to know what's going on, but that's the one that you have to say is like, no, that was wrong. Gosh.
I do like how there's answers from other games we've
really
played in here.
To me.
Yeah.
I was watching him do this to himself, and I hated it. I hated seeing him so trapped. It's like, video games are not worth this amount of suffering. This is someone I really cared about. And I used to get so much joy out of seeing him create. For him to suddenly become angry and frustrated like this, it was the worst thing for me. I don't know. This is what I felt at the time. I don't know how else to explain it. I wanted it to stop more than anything. I had never felt so rotten. I needed more than I had ever needed anything for this to stop. But it didn't stop. After finishing this one, Coda takes another 7 months and comes up with a new game.
We'll do our best. Oh gosh. The Islands game is a game that I want every artist to play. Like,
Yeah.
There's such a combination in that game of like, I didn't realize I needed to say this, and thank God someone said it. Like, oh my goodness. Hello, press. Wow, big mood.
course, it's the machine.
Anyways, I
I
just
know.
want to point out 3 dots.
3 dots. Yup. I know Coda doesn't like post his games anywhere, but also, boy, the press in this one is such a like a big feel of like having
Yeah.
all of these people that you're answering to. Like, I don't know why it stopped. I'm gonna go find out. I'll let you all know. Whew.
This is another area where I feel like you could actually just read all 3 of these together as
Yeah.
a statement.
That's also another one where everyone I've seen picks I've been so alone. Like that's the real answer. Like all of them are things you want to say, but that's the real answer and you kind of know it.
I almost feel like kind of back around the cleaning game is where you start to shift and try to play as Coda, maybe.
Yeah. Oh, like
and not. I don't know. Just like I feel like you're going, okay, if I'm Coda and I'm going through the experiences that this game is feeling, I want to talk about myself and not the people around me.
Yeah. Yeah, it becomes really personal, and you figured out by that point, and especially like this is like the ultimate expression of that. Your answers do nothing. The things you say do nothing, but it's really important which one you pick. It's very personal.
Runs into door.
I'm also having like a lot of feelings over the choice between my followers and my friends, because at the time I just took it as like, oh, what do you want to call these people? But also there's something to be said of that being like a choice of who are you talking to? Like, is this hey, friends who expect me to make things. Hey, followers who expect me to produce content. Sorry. Oh boy. Also, I'm gonna admit, I feel like this game is one where I think
So
it
now the
must
work
have
is
been...
becoming self-destructive. And I'll tell you, at the time that I first played this game, shortly after he made it, here's what I'm thinking to myself. I'm thinking that Code is stuck in his own head, and that it's having a very negative effect on him, and that all he needs to do is just start showing his work to
You
people
also do have a choice.
to get some
there.
actual feedback on his games. It might get him out of isolation. And so, as I'm thinking this, I realize that I could be the one to initiate it. Because it would never occur to Coda to start actively soliciting feedback, so what if I did it for him? If he could see the difference it would make to have more actual conversations with other human beings, would that bring him out of his mental spiral? Would it give him confidence in himself? Would it bring meaning back into his work?
I do wonder.
Like, this game has to be partially frustration with Davey. Like,
Yeah.
what
So
were
I
you
started
saying?
showing
Yeah.
Coda's work to people. I took this one, and the islands which you just played, the theater, the notes, the house cleaning game, and some of the prison escape games. I brought them to people that I knew and trusted. I asked their opinions. And the great part is that they really loved his games. You know, the point of it all was just to give him some external reference point, but they genuinely loved his work. There was nothing for him to be afraid of. Can you see why I felt like this was the right thing to do? Because it's the thing that I always feel like I need, to be told that my work is good, that I am good. When someone really connects with a thing that I've made, when they see themselves purely in my work, there's nothing that feels better. And I got to give that very same feeling to my friend. I did something... I really felt like I'd done something good, like I was a good person. I felt like there was a friend who was in trouble and was unhappy and maybe didn't like themselves, and I could fix it. If I could give him this gift, maybe I could fix the problem. When they told me how much they enjoyed his games, it was the best feeling. It was the absolute best feeling. It made me feel so happy. So beautifully, beautifully happy. So anyway, Coda finishes this game, and then really he just kind of takes off for a while. So this is June of 2011, and I didn't hear anything from him for several weeks, I guess. And so out of nowhere, one day I get an email, and it's got a private link to a new game of Coda's. This one is called The Tower, and to my knowledge, it's the last game that Coda ever made. So let's take a look. And this is where I have trouble saying anything meaningful about Coda's work. Because more than anything else, the tower just feels distant. It feels like it's trying to distance itself from the world. It's a very cold game.
It was a game sent to you. What might
What
that
the
tell
world?
you?
This room actually has a maze in it.
I will warn people listening. Makes a very bad noise soon.
Yep, here we go. Let's do it.
I actually got farther than
Except
I thought I
that
would.
all the walls of the maze are invisible. And then every time you touch one of the walls,
Yeah.
there's this awful flashing and noise. So the experience is really miserable. The game goes beyond not being meant to be played. It actually seems to despise the player for trying to play it at all. But I do want to show you the rest of the levels, so when you're ready to continue, press enter and I'll put a bridge over the maze.
There's actually a trigger at the end of the maze, and the label on the trigger is because somebody's going to. Like in the code.
Oh.
So it does notice when you've completed the maze.
And to be fair,
I
it's
don't
not
know
like
if
this is
Davey
the first
says
game that's
anything,
needed
but...
some modification to be playable. Like the house cleaning game. You
Ah!
used to actually loop the cleaning chores and you just cleaned a house forever.
Yes.
I had to cut it
Good.
off so that you could exit the house and the game would actually end.
No.
But that game had an idea that it was actually trying to communicate.
Yeah, it did.
What's the deeper
You
idea
were
behind
incorrect.
the invisible maze?
Oh boy. There's like so many little clues, like the fact that you know he doesn't talk about games until except when he's actively working on them.
The only way past this challenge is to randomly guess the 6-digit code. Like the invisible maze, it's frustrating to me because it's the opposite of everything else that Coda has made. It doesn't encourage thought or engagement. It doesn't ask anything of me except a lot of my time. If I could have reached him during this time, then maybe I could have asked him, but I couldn't. I still don't really understand why this is here. I'll put the code on the ground for you here, though, so that we can move on.
But also, like, I like how Davy's answer is almost within his ramblings of, it doesn't ask anything from me except for my time. Where it's like, yeah, maybe if you just took the time to understand Coda,
yeah. Well, and like
maybe Coda just wanted
he also
your
calls
time
it
and
random. He also
Yeah.
calls it random, which it's clearly not. Especially like there is literally an answer hidden in another game, something that Davey is already good at looking for.
Twice. It's hidden twice in the
And
game.
because it's the 2 tarot cards, so like if Coda does like that, and it shows up in his work a couple of times, and this is called the Tower, then it's like, if you knew him well, maybe this is actually something you could have figured out. But at the same time, like, I don't know, I think the fact that you have to put in a password is actually really meaningful. Like,
Also,
this
from
area is password locked. You can break in, but it's password locked and you're not supposed to be here is a pretty clear meaning.
also, just from the game very early on, this is literally a key for a door is hidden in a different game. This is it.
Yeah, yeah, you're right.
So there is not just one. It's not just hidden in another game, but a third game tells you how to get it. Whee!
The switch to open this door is actually on the other side of the door, meaning that it's literally impossible to solve from this side.
Unless
So
you break the
even if
game.
you somehow brute forced your way through the first 2 challenges, and you got to this point, there's actually just no way to progress. And it's scary for me, the idea of Coda cutting himself off entirely, just saying, you know, that's it, that's the end of the conversation, not giving me any way to fix the problem. I feel like a failure, I guess, when I can't fix the problem.
Oh boy.
But I can open this door for you, so let me do that.
There's the switch.
Was I a failure for not understanding this game? I mean, I don't know why I would be. It's not like everything needs to have a solution, but I feel it somehow.
You're so close, Davey.
I feel like I failed, and I don't understand why.
But yeah, it's like...
I remember, it's
No.
June of 2011. I'm playing this for the very first time.
Hush, Davy
And
needs
as I'm
to
playing,
speak.
I'm thinking to myself,
It's got a lot to work
I
with,
don't
it's
know
okay.
this person. I have no idea who this person is. It wasn't the guy I knew, it wasn't my friend. I had come to so many conclusions from looking at all of his work up to this point, and then suddenly none of them...
You're so close, Davey. But yeah,
I had
it's
been
like...
trying to, though. That was the thing. For years, I was trying to get to know him, to understand who he actually was and what he stood for. I asked him so many times to please just tell me what his games mean to him. I asked him please to tell me what the 3 dots mean. And he wouldn't.
suddenly really curious if you took this imagery and you lined it up with the game where Davy takes away the walls.
Oh, if like, well, I don't.
If it lines up.
If it's a piece of it. Oh man, I'm sitting here wondering if you can find the 3 dots in every game. I've never actually like checked, and that seems like
Yeah.
something that people would do, like would look for. But
Well, I don't know. I remember when I did your entering, I explored that game pretty thoroughly. I think that's one of the first ones I
oh yeah,
I was
those
just
I don't
like,
think
I
those
want to
have
know if I missed a
missed
thing.
something. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, it's like
It would be
electric fence,
I just felt so
passcode,
strongly
locked
that if I could
door.
have connected with him, that if I could have somehow made his work my own, that I would finally be once and for all happy. It was that I needed to see myself in someone else. I needed to be someone other than me. But he stopped and left, and it felt somehow like I had failed.
which side?
Left.
I hope you said left. Discord
Yes.
cut you off,
Oh
but it
no,
sounded like.
Discord, please. Yeah, I did see. It would be funny if you were like Stanley paraboling this and like, no.
Where did I screw up?
Maybe I shouldn't have said anything and just seen what your reaction would be. Here, we'll do it again. which side?
Go left. Stanley walked through the left door. Alright, I'm sorry, I'm being silly.
I'm the reason that you stopped making games, aren't I? It's because of what I did. I poisoned it for you. I don't think I ever told you this, but when I took your work and I was showing it to people, it actually felt... it felt as though I were responsible for something important and valuable. And the people who played them, they treated me like I was important. They really listened and cared about what I had to say. Even though I was showing your work, I felt good about myself. Finally. For a moment, while I had that, I liked myself.
I really like this one because it kind of lets you know that Coda was trying to fix the problem as well.
Huh.
Even if like it was a realization that they came to afterwards. They did, care for Davy somewhat in the way of like they're like, okay, I'm making these, but would you enjoy them more if I made them this way?
Hmm.
Or maybe they were even like, because throughout all of this, even though we're exploring Coda's games, there's definitely a unspoken part of Coda's story where you really have no idea what was going through Coda's mind while
Yeah.
making these.
'Cause Davy is a very unreliable narrator.
Yeah, and there's a whole part of Davy's narration that's like, I think Coda's, withdrawn and going through some hard stuff, and like this always made me wonder, like, I wonder if Coda started coming from the same direction of like, oh, Davy's, withdrawn and depressed and stuff. But maybe if I do put some of these like answers into the games and maybe
Davy
that'll
really
kind of
likes this
spark.
puzzle. We'll keep using it.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
man. Well, cause
And
yeah, he
then
does talk about like I've started putting solutions because you've gotten all into my personal space
mhm
and made it as if they're for you. Um,
cuz I think something that I've realized through going through my less than good relationships is like usually it's not a one-sided thing. Usually it's
Mm,
multiple, like both sides having some kind of misconception of what it should be or how to fix the problem. And I think
yeah.
this might have been just like Coda realizing the problem sooner than Davy and realizing, oh shit, wait,
I'm
you
buying
infected
into
me.
this. Yeah.
I have started going along with this because I think it's going to make it
Mm,
better. Um, but now we're just in this really bad place.
yeah.
And I feel like you don't understand me at all.
Yeah.
And
Well,
then you stopped. And I didn't have anything left to show people. I just had to be with myself. And as soon as that happened, there was no feeling at all. Nothing. Less than nothing. What does that mean?
This this one always gets me.
I'm afraid that I did something really stupid because I don't like myself.
Also this one.
That's why I'm releasing this collection of your work. Is because I haven't been able to
Because
find
I
any
did
other way to
not
reach
read
you.
the last
I've
door.
tried everything. And so a part of me has hope that if I put this compilation out into the world, and if I put my name on it, that maybe enough people will play it so that it'll find its way to you, so that I can tell you that I'm sorry. I know I screwed up. If I apologize to you truly and deeply, will you start making again? Please, I need to feel okay with myself again. And I always felt okay as long as I had your work to see myself in. I mean, is something wrong with me? Because I know that I did an awful thing, and I'm doing it again right now. Like, I'm showing people your work, but I can't stop myself from doing it. That's how badly I need to feel something again, like I'm an addict. There has to be something wrong with me. Can I apologize? What if I tell you I was wrong? Will that work? Will that fix it? I don't know. I don't think it will, but there's nothing else that I can do. Just tell me what you want. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Please, start making games again. Please help me. Please give me some of whatever it is that makes you complete. I want whatever that wholeness is that you just summoned out of nothing and you put into your work. You were complete in some way that I never was. I want to know I want to know how to be a good person. I want to know how not to hate myself. Please. I'm fading, and all I want is to know that I'm going to be okay.
Call back to earlier when he literally says that at the
yeah,
beginning.
wouldn't that be nice? Oh. Which, like,
I love this. I love this
just
level.
for you, Boo.
I was so excited when I got here.
I mean, I feel like that's like the thing about these games that's so good. It's like it's so easy to see yourself in them, and
More.
problem is when
More
you're
love,
projecting.
more praise, more people telling me that I'm good. Always more. It's like a disease.
I feel like there's definitely part of it where it's like it's fine to see yourself in a product, but you can't tell someone else who they are
Yeah.
through
Um,
yourself.
yeah. Yeah. That's the
You
part where
have
it
to
gets
be looking at
dangerous.
yourself.
Mm. Oh, I like that takeaway a lot. Where, like, yeah, if Davy
Solution.
was
Solution.
like, if Davy was looking at all of these as an insight into himself, he maybe could
He
have learned a
probably,
lot.
yeah, we probably would not have gotten to the later games because I think the earlier games would have started to tip him off more. But
Yeah.
he wasn't looking at it as a message to him, or about himself. He was going, this is Coda.
This
This is
is
just
Coda
Coda talking
revealing
about.
his inner self to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess if someone had told me ahead of time that he just really enjoyed making prison games, maybe I wouldn't have thought he was so desperate. I wouldn't have told so many people that he was depressed. Maybe he just likes making prisons.
Maybe don't just tell random people that this person is depressed. Like, maybe that's rude.
Even now, the disease is telling me to stop. Don't show people what a shitty person you are. They'll hate you.
This is another
If
one
I
where
knew
it's
that
like,
my life depended on finding something to be driven by other than validation, what would that even be?
this one feels very much
Strange,
like a
but
dream.
the thought of not being
Hmm.
driven by external validation is unthinkable. Like, I actually cannot conceive of what that would be like. What now? I think I need to go.
I should go now.
And I'm sorry, because I know that I said that I would be here and I would walk you through this, but I'm starting to feel like I have a lot of work to do. I have a lot that I need to make up for, and so I'm just gonna... Okay.
It's always interesting to me. Like, I've played this game, I think 3 or 4 times, not
Uh-huh.
including this time,
Uh-huh.
and my clear memory of it stops there. Like, as soon, every time I get to this part, I'm like, oh yeah, this part exists. I have, like, minimal memory of it. Like, I
Oh,
remember it once I'm
man.
here, but I do not remember it before I get here, which I find super interesting.
Huh.
Um,
This part without Davy.
yeah, it's just like, oh, Davy stopped talking, and that's where
See.
my brain cuts the game.
Oh, see, I remember a lot of it, but also most of my revisiting of this game was by watching Let's Plays, because I can't experience it again for the first time, so I'm going to watch other people experience it for the first time. So I watched a lot of Let's Plays, which is a fascinating thing. Please watch Let's Plays of this game because, like, I feel like Let's Players are right on that edge between creator and entertainer that
Mhm.
whether they identify more with Davey or Coda is a really big coin flip. Like, and so the people going in going, Davey, I don't know about what you're saying, and the people going into it going, oh, you're such a good friend, you tried so hard, and kind of like having to forgive themselves along with Davey at the end of it is just really interesting. Um, but yeah, so a lot of these pieces I do remember because I'm thinking of like the other people that I've watched go through this and like talk through their feelings. Um,
Mm.
the the thing that I do have to point out at the beginning of the game, Davey says that Coda stopped making games. He
Mhm.
doesn't make games anymore, and I want him to start back up again because his work is really valuable. Um, Coda doesn't show anyone his games.
Yeah.
He could still be making games, and Davey would not know. Um,
Maybe Coda shows. That's the other thing is like, I mean, we were talking about earlier. Some of the assets that Coda has for these games, either Coda made himself or Coda, got help with.
yeah,
Um, Coda and like part of the story was Coda was at a game
Jam.
jam,
That's how we met Davey.
which
Yeah.
requires you somewhat showing people because like if Davey saw this game that Coda had been working on and
Hmm.
then became friends, this isn't a one-time event that happens in someone's life. Usually when you go to a games jam, like y'all make games and then you show each other, that's part of the jam. Assuming that this is not the first or last games jam that Coda went to, like
Yeah.
um
This is just the first one that you saw. Yeah,
yeah.
Coda's entire life gets defined by Davy. And then also, like, we know that the only game that Coda specifically sent to Davy was the house cleaning game.
Mhm.
And the tower. Um,
And
the
the tower, yeah.
and all the other ones are like just games that Coda made. Might have sent to somebody else or might have just kept to himself, but apparently Davey like asked about them and was shown
Mhm.
them, and we have no idea who else might have also seen them. Unless like it was Davey Coda's closest friend because it really doesn't sound like it.
Anyway, uh, okay. This
Let's
is the part where my brain picks up the game again. Like I remember after this part. I do not remember the in between.
Oh
Uh,
man, yeah. Let's go. I assume that this level was made by Davey. Um,
yeah.
which I guess it's never said one way or another, but if the tower was Coda's last game, quote unquote,
Mhm.
um,
The last game Davey received at least, so.
yeah, then I just really like this as a tribute of the one thing that Davey skipped past.
Oh, that completely hushed it.
Oh no!
Um,
Let me prove that I'm brave.
I was gonna try to turn it down on my side, but sneakily.
And miles and miles, and you're so tired, but I know that you're strong, so turn back, turn back.
Oh, I knew that I would. I knew that I would get emotional about this, and I did. I was right. uh, I should have had Kleenexes with me for this Let's Play.
um,
Anyway, thank you for going through this game with me again, even though we've both already played it. It was really fun
I think
to explore again.
I think this was the right choice of of game that we wanted to like officially start all of this with. I think it was a very good choice. Um, Also something that I kind of noticed at the end, and was like, oh, I want to talk about this, and then got caught up in the end.
Yeah.
Uh, the earlier game, the Whisper Machine,
Yeah.
um, kind of like the whole point of it is like you get to the room and the things whispering to you to put these ideas in your head that like if you just give yourself all of this will be fixed. And then later in the tower, that's kind of brought up where it's like you got into my head, you infected me. Um
Mm.
I find that very interesting, and that the last thing as part of all this is, doing that beam situation again.
Yeah, well,
Um
and then like the whisper machine is echoed again in the game where the door crashes into you, Mobius Trip.
yep.
That's the same music for one.
Mhm.
And it is also the USS Whisper.
Yeah,
Or the
yeah.
SS Whisper or whatever is the name of the ship that you're on apparently. There's like a lot of little things. Yeah, I agree a lot with you that I think there is a lot of meaning, and you are supposed to take meaning from it. It's not like,
Mhm.
lol, it's just a prison, calm down. Like, yeah, there's something very personal here, but also you can't just project yourself onto another person and tell them what they meant. Um, um, Anyway, I love this game so much. Thank you all for coming on this journey with us. Um, and if you also enjoyed, like, please let us know. We had a lot of
Yeah,
fun. We had a lot of fun doing this. Um, I think that's everything. I could talk about the
yeah.
beginner's guide for 5 hours, but I will not do that. We've done enough. So, all right.
We already explored every note.
Yeah.
We do not need to go do that again, though I would love to. Uh
All right, but yeah, let us know what you guys think. Okay, bye.
Bye.